Hello, welcome to the Understanding Intellectual Disabilities course. So, this is going to be set up very similarly to the other courses if you've taken them that Amy and I have put together. This one's going to focus specifically on intellectual disabilities, and then we'll break it down into some teaching strategies as well as also focusing on inclusion since we know that's a new hot topic in our district. So, what is intellectual disability or ID? It is a term used when a person has certain limitations in cognitive functioning and skills, including conceptual, social, and practical skills, such as language, social, and self care skills. So, some common intellectual disabilities and their causes: Down syndrome, fetal alcohol syndrome, Fragile X syndrome, genetic conditions, birth defects, and infections. Others that may not occur until a child is older would be considered a TBI, traumatic brain injury, stroke, or other infections. So, the criteria for a student to be diagnosed with an intellectual disability is that they have to have an IQ below 70 and they have to meet all three of these criteria, have significant limitations in their adaptive behavior in one or more of the following areas: conceptual, social, or practical skills, and that the condition manifests before the age of 22. If it manifests after 22, it's generally can be tied to something else. It wouldn't be diagnosed as ID. So, what is the impact on learning? Students with ID have difficulty understanding new information, communicating, social skills, have a slower processing time, difficulty with sequencing, processing information, and difficulties comprehending abstract topics. So, if you're looking at an IEP of a student with ID, you can focus on some certain areas and certain tests. So, we look at the Wechsler Intelligence Scale for children. We call it the WISC. You'll notice in particular the full scale IQ. This child has a full scale IQ of 62, which does fit the one of the criteria that we talked about. And you can look at the descriptors being in the extremely low, low, or below, fairly low ranges depending on the skills to kind of show that they are struggling in those areas. We also use the Kaufman test. This is more of an academic based test, and you can see the percentile scores, how low they are. Scores are generally between 85 and 115 to be considered average. You can kind of see where they are. And then just some basics: the population of people with intellectual disabilities. This is in 2019, looking at it across all the different countries. I just thought was an interesting piece.